All right, good evening, everyone. This is the Dayton Historical Commission meeting on April 12th at 7:00 PM. This meeting is being recorded and will be seen on YouTube, Dayton's YouTube channel. So it's hybrid, but no one is, just Ken is on Zoom, our liaison. So tonight we have with us Rafa's here, Pam Nicholson, Bill Pruitt, Pat Olson, and myself, Pat Gales, as the chairperson. So I'm calling the meeting to order. Let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, the secretary's report. Everyone received the minutes from March 8th and have a chance to review them. I'll entertain a motion to waive the reading of the minutes of March 8th, 2022. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, and we'll vote. Rafa?
Aye.
Pam? Aye. Bill?
Aye.
Pat?
Aye.
And I'm also an aye. Now I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes of March 8th, 2022 as submitted.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, we'll vote. Rafa?
Aye.
Pam?
Aye.
Bill? Pat?
Aye.
And I'm also an aye. Okay. The next secretary's report is for March 31st, 2022. It was our historical marker ceremony. So I'll entertain a motion to waive the reading of the minutes of March 31st, 2022.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Let's vote. Rafa, let's vote.
Aye.
Pam?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Pat?
Aye.
And I'm also an aye. And a motion to accept the minutes of March 31st, 2022 as submitted.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, let's vote. Rafa?
Aye.
Aye. Bill?
Aye.
Pat?
Aye.
And I'm also an aye. All right, thank you.
Other than to say it was a wonderful ceremony.
Yes.
Yeah, it
And
was.
it was the hospitality.
Yeah, yeah.
And the
Thank you to
people.
Karen and
Yeah, thank you to Carrie and Larry again, and it was beautiful. I agree.
enjoyed it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was good.
Vicky was there.
Huh?
Yeah, Vicky.
Yeah. So next is our budget. The balance continues to be $725.50 with the 300 committed to the overlay map, leaving us the expendable amount of $425.50. The contract has been executed between the town and CAI Technologies for the overlay maps, so now we're waiting for the invoice to be submitted. I have an invoice from Awards Plus for the James Briggs plaque. Let me put this away. That's going to go in Town Hall for the repurposed wood. The cost of that plaque was $32. Yeah. So I have that invoice. We still have to do the wording on that. So should we, the wording to be etched on the plaque, or go ahead and pay it now?
He's on mute.
He's on mute, yeah.
What we're gonna etch on there tonight and then go pick it up?
Yeah, we can.
Now, was that question for me?
The invoice, we just have to get the words etched on it. Should we wait till the words are done?
I would think you would wait for the words to be done to make sure it's correct.
Okay. All right. So we'll decide the words tonight, and then what we can do is, I'll entertain a motion to approve payment of the awards plus invoice pending the etching of the words on it, and that they are correct.
So moved.
For a second,
Second.
any discussion? Okay, let's vote. Rafa?
Aye.
Pam?
Aye.
Bill? Pat? And I'm also an aye. Okay. So once that's done, I'll contact Pam and Pat, and we'll be able to process that. Okay.
I'm sorry, did you second?
Yes.
Our FY '23 proposed budget, I met with the Board of Selectmen on March 16th regarding our amended budget. We added the $600 for the overlay map for FY '23. The Board of Selectmen approved our budget, so it's going forward. The Finance Committee has sent their schedule out. And we are scheduled for May 3rd at 7:45. They asked us to be there 15 minutes ahead of time, so we got there for 7:30. We just have to defend our budget and why we want our money. So, and it's not, this year, it's not on our meeting night, so very good scheduling. So I do plan on being there May 3rd. I would appreciate any support. I know Rafa's going to be there because he's the vice chair. I don't know. Where does the Finance Committee meet, Ken? Here at Old Town Hall?
They might be meeting at prime time, but I'm not sure.
All right, we'll have to check on the location.
We'll be there.
Okay, now, unfinished business. We have to do the wording for the James Briggs plaque that's going to go in Town Hall. So we have that lovely picture that we're using of the house, thanks to the Derrick family. So on it, it should, I think it should say the photo is a courtesy of the Derrick family. So I don't know if we like want that right under the picture, and then at the bottom, put Dayton Historical Commission, because we're the ones that are sponsoring it. So I was kind of thinking, I thought we had talked about this like way back when, but I couldn't find anything in my notes or whatever. It could have been my imagination too, you know? So I just came up with something to start with. Is the wood used for this business counter was repurposed from he was a captain, right, Bill?
He was a captain in the Revolutionary War.
Okay,
No, I didn't see anything about a sea captain, I know.
yeah,
He might have been a sea captain, I just know for sure that he was,
right. So what I first said was, the wood used for this business counter was repurposed from the Captain James Briggs house, which stood at 949 Somerset Ave, Dayton, Mass. Then I was thinking about it when I was cleaning up the dishes tonight. We probably should say that James Briggs was the father of Stout George Briggs, so that kind of ties into some of the local legend.
Yeah.
Moved rocks, the stout.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Were there other James Briggs at that time, or was he the only
Yeah,
James
'cause I
Briggs?
Was he the only James Briggs?
James Briggs.
No,
I thought
So
Bill had
it's good to
unearthed,
associate him
like,
with Stout George Briggs.
yeah,
no, there's,
you had unearthed other James Briggs?
there was another James Briggs in plus or minus 20 odd years of birth and so forth, but it's not the one
Okay.
to the house.
right. So if we kind of like give him some connection to another Dayton character or hero.
Superhero.
I think he was a character, though.
You have, and I like what you have. I asked Rafa if he remembered circa when the home was built.
Yep.
And he said 1790. So do you want to say from the James P. Briggs home circa 1790? And then I was debating whether to put the address on it or not. It's just like,
Yeah.
how much verbiage do you want on it?
Yeah,
Because it might not even have been, who knows what it was, it was just the brick, it didn't have an address at that time, I would assume, right? And a house.
right, but yeah,
People didn't have addresses, they kind of said, go right.
Right, but then as time goes on, who's going to know where the James Briggs house stood unless we give it an address?
No, that's fine.
Okay. I mean, certainly, using these words, and I'll type it up neatly and send it to Pam and Pat so they can go off once we approve it. If it's too much, I would use your discretion to make sure that it fits and looks nice on the plaque.
Well, I'm sure he'll make it fit and just change the font. A lot of people going to stand there to read this thing.
Right,
That's all.
right.
I wonder how many people in town know about Stout Briggs.
Anyone that knows Dayton history,
Full-time down Dayton.
yeah,
Well, Stout Briggs was the son of James.
Son.
right,
And he was called Stout because supposedly he was the strongest man in town
Right.
at the time. That's about it.
there's yeah, and he had a house across the street, and there's a whole story of him down in the Caribbean with his cudgel and Nate Crane.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, there's a whole story that goes with
Want
him.
me to show him the plaque?
Yeah.
And I'd also like the photo courtesy of, as they do in a newspaper, right? It would be the photo and then be in little tiny font, photo courtesy of, yeah. And then the larger font would be our wording.
Yep.
Of the plaque we selected, so the picture just tucks right in. That's the James Briggs house, and of course, the plaque will be right over here, and all of the engraving and the plaque and everything is $32 total.
How big is it?
You're 8x10.
Okay, here's an envelope on the desk to give you a big envelope. Okay?
Perspective.
Yeah,
Got it.
just to give you an idea, okay?
Thank you.
I just have one question about that. Is that, will that hold up under outside use?
Going inside the
Inside,
town hall.
okay.
Yeah, this is for inside town hall at the town clerk and town treasurer counter, that new business counter that they
It
made.
would not hold up.
No, because it's the wood that's reused, so it'll be in.
And would you like to see the picture?
Yeah,
It'll be
Sure,
used, but yes,
just
we've
come over
got
here,
to come
man.
up.
You gotta drive on down, no.
sure. Drop it at my house on your way home.
I don't know,
Sign that's gonna be,
see it?
that's what we need to.
I can't
It's
see,
on the left-hand side,
I can't see the plaque. I can see the picture of the house.
because the plaque isn't there. It's just an idea to show you what will be there with the
Yeah,
gold plaque.
the
on
gold
right.
plaque will go at the bottom.
Yeah. That looks nice.
Wood
Yep,
sign,
all right,
correct?
Right.
For the counter, next door.
all right. So, I will type this up neatly, get it to you, and once that's all done, then you let me know and we'll, process from there. Okay,
Go through, we'll send you what we decide on and then make sure that Ray thinks
it'll fit.
the font will fit and look.
Right, okay. So moving on, next is the James Briggs garden sign. We had talked about this way back when they have their garden up and going, and they are talking about having a dedication at some point in time, probably sooner than later. So one thought I had is, the company that makes our historical marker signs for houses, did we talk about this, Peach? Contact him to see if he has something similar, because his signs are outside in the weather,
That's true.
and it would match all of our other markers that we're putting up around town.
I'll ask.
That was one thought that I had. And the second thought I had, I started reviewing the things that Raffer had sent way back in last June. I took a look at some of those and didn't really like a lot of those, but I found some that were historical, very simple in nature, that are for outside. And I started pricing it, and they start like at $250, and of course can go right on up to as much as you want to spend. So Rather than us sit here and debate which ones we like, I would like to form a committee to look at that, bring a recommendation of one sign back for May, and we'll go from there. More than likely, looking at our budget, I would say the expense would have to be one of the ones for FY '23 in our next fiscal year. But, you know, that depends on the pricing that we get in May, too. So I'd be willing to serve on that committee. Would anybody else?
Pam, didn't you have some reservations about that?
About that, because when I went to the initial planning, the discussion was that it was going to be more of a hand-hewn, am I saying the word right? Hand-carved sign, perhaps even done by Boy Scouts. So I think we really need to have a joint, maybe perhaps in the May meeting, we can call the folks from the garden and see where they stand with a sign, because I really don't want to step on their toes, and,
Oh, yeah.
you know, I don't want to, I also don't know if I want, this probably sounds petty, but I don't know if I want us to be the ones to pay for the whole thing, you know, can we kind of?
Well, we kind of said that we would pay for the sign.
Yeah.
Way back when we were very excited about it, and we wanted James Briggs to be remembered, for that spot to be remembered for him.
Remember that, but.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Absolutely.
I just want them to also, dare say, since they've really put in the elbow grease next door to the garden.
Okay, I can contact them. I'd still like to have a couple of suggestions, either, you know, our marker, our historical marker, and one other one, and then reach out to them and have them join us.
Any reservation they had? I think it was. Same page and,
Yep, no, that's a good idea. If we have some ideas to show, listen to what their thoughts are, and then we can go from there.
I think our thoughts appear to be more fancy, but I could be wrong, because things may have changed in the, I believe it was March, I believe it's been a whole,
It's been a whole.
year since I went to that planning meeting that was
Yeah.
held outside of the site, so
Yeah.
things may have changed
Okay.
since that.
We'll do that, so that'll be on the agenda for May.
Okay.
All right, so Rafa, you're gonna look at the peach signs, and I'll look at the other ones, and we'll see what we can come up with. Okay, marvelous. Just say,
Do you want the same color, though, the burgundy, red, or
I don't know, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
keep those color?
yeah. Just so you know, the segregated school inventory and storage is ongoing. We added more things to the inventory list. So it's a process. There's a lot of stuff there. The segregated schoolhouse. John didn't try and join us. So Rafa and John worked on a segregated schoolhouse proposed statement of purpose for us, which I sent to everyone. So tonight, we're going to take a look at it. Does anyone have any discussion about it? Rafa, you want to kind of like explain how you got to that paragraph?
Yeah, what happened was that Jonathan and I wrote our own respective statement of purpose, and we basically combined them together, and we came up with what is present in front of you. Simple. Elaborate.
I wanted to see something more elaborate.
More flowery.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I wanted to see more about maybe how we'd use it, you know, schools.
A mission statement is usually a very concise, short statement, and I know what you're talking about as far as how you're going to use it. Those are more your goals of what you're going to do with it.
I just wanted to sell it more, but
Well, this is for our,
I understand
Yeah.
it's a mission statement, and
so from the mission statement, then you start writing your goal statement, so you know what you're going to be doing. So,
Can I just put it? You included a kind of interesting business with the Hornbein School, some documentation.
yeah, yeah.
So is there any, since they've already kind of cooked through that when way back when they were. Is there any stuff that we can glean from any of that, you know what I mean? No, maybe we just.
Well, this is what our mission statement is saying right now. This is what Rafa and John put together. The segregated schoolhouse was built around 1830 in Dayton, Massachusetts, and is the only one-room schoolhouse that is still owned by the town. It was a single classroom in which students would learn classes such as arts and crafts. Actually, it was more than arts and crafts.
That was their education.
It was their education. So yeah, it has not been used since 2012. The goal of the Dayton Historical Commission is to rehabilitate the schoolhouse to be repurposed as a historical museum and a living museum, so Daytonians can bring back and relive the history of that era. So there was a single classroom in which students
Maybe would learn subjects or be taught subjects such as, so just so we don't have class, subjects such as, they did more than arts and crafts.
1 through 8
Would
education.
learn.
Yeah, I like, yeah,
Grade 1 through 8 education.
would receive,
So it was 1 through 8.
yep, grade 1 through 8 education.
Which students would get indoctrinated with subversive ideas.
All right, it was a single classroom in which students would receive
Again,
grades 1. Education, grades 1 through 8. education.
I'm surprised you didn't say communism, Rafa.
In the
So,
1800s.
no, they didn't have it.
well, Karl Marx was from the 19th century.
Oh, yeah. Was it here?
I think getting the grades 1 through 8 is very important.
Yes. I do have
In
it.
which-
Grade 1 through 8
How about,
education.
was a single room classroom in which, students attended
Students in grades 1 through 8 attended.
students in
Was it kindergarten? Was it kindergarten?
grades 1 through 8.
Those days?
We didn't even have kindergarten when I was in Swansea.
I didn't know that.
A single classroom in which students would attend,
A single classroom for education. This,
single classroom for education, grades 1 through 8.
yeah.
A single classroom.
For grades 1 through 8, we know it was there to educate.
Yeah, but we have arts and craft now, so that's not
Yeah.
all the other subjects. So
We're taking out arts and crafts.
It was a single classroom for education,
for grades 1 through 8.
grades 1 through 8. It was a single classroom which
I went down with kids.
students would, single classroom for education for students in grades 1 through 8. Too many 4s were in there. All right.
I would suggest that instead of it has not been used since 2012, that we say it has not been open since 2012.
It's not been opened.
Right, because it's used for storage, huh, Ken?
Yes, and probably will be for years, unfortunately. And the other suggestion that I would have is towards the end to be repurposed as an historical and a living museum, rather than saying a
Okay.
historical museum and a living museum. So as an historical and a living museum, so Daytonians can bring back and relive the history of the era,
Okay.
instead of having a museum twice.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, Rafa.
It was Jonathan.
Oh, sure.
Army.
What I'll do is retype this for, and then send it out, and we'll review it again next month to make sure it says exactly what we want to say. All right, awesome. Now, I did send, as Bill mentioned, this information from Rehoboth on how the Hornbein School was set up. With the Hornbein School, that Hornbein School Association is the body that runs the school. The town actually they own the land and the building, but the association does the rest. They're not a line item in the town budget. The Hornbein School, what they get is through donations. And as I read it, they looked for volunteers. I'll just go through the order that we had. The first page that I gave you was an agreement. They had an agreement that went for 1 year, but the person I know, my friend Paula, who's on the historical commission, couldn't find any other letters besides 1984, so it wasn't always renewed, but it continues. It's just not documented. They had volunteers that were there. I was looking for volunteers from like the spring through the fall, someone who would be like the teacher for the school visits. Then they're opened 8 Sundays through the summer, June through September. The second and fourth Sunday, looking for volunteers from 2 to 4. The page that has June 10th, 2007 on it, that was a letterhead contest that they had, like for the kids, because that's only a partial letter that she sent. Then there was a poem written by our own Dayton Jack Torres about the one-room schoolhouse. That's kind of cool to read. Torres, Torres. So then they had the newspaper article, looks like from 2001. The third graders are the ones that go visit the classroom, in the spring. And then they kind of described the building changed hands several times, and then it was purchased by the Hornbein School in 1968 and restored in time for the town's 325th anniversary. The nonprofit association gave the school back to the town, but continues to maintain the museum. And they're always looking for volunteers and artifacts. But then there was a whole agreement between I found this interesting, between the Historical Commission and the Hornbein School Association. It states that the town owns the land and buildings. That gives the mission was for the association was the second, they're the second party, to establish, promote, encourage, and preserve and add objects associated with the one-room schoolhouse building. The town wasn't responsible for anything. The association was responsible for any improvements. They would use grants, gifts, bequests, or donations, for the management part of it. So in one clause, they said without charge or compensation, but then you don't call it a charge, you call it a donation. That's how you're wording. But the association was responsible for making and paying for repairs, alterations, maintenance, upkeep, and any and all other expenses related to the land and buildings. But if the association goes defunct, everything goes back to the town. And then it was signed by the Historical Commission and by the Hornbein School Association president. So that's how that school functions. And I think if we're going to continue on this conversation, we really need to have a meeting with the town administrator to see just which direction we would be heading and what is really feasible and how we would set it up, because as we know, the commission can't charge for things because that charge, we can't fundraise. So, how would you support the school without it being a line item? The discussion of, do we set up like gift account, you know, how, so there's some logistics we have to figure out. Does anyone else have any thoughts about this process or input?
I think at some point, maybe we might want to consider forming a Friends of the Segregated School where they can do some fundraising. I don't want the Historical Commission, I don't know what the commission feels, or the Friends of the Segregated School maintain the building. We're not going to be able to come up with that kind of money.
Right,
We can come up with, raise some money for some stuff to put in the school to make it look like a, one-room schoolhouse, that kind of stuff. But I don't want us to have to pay for electricity, heat, maintenance, and all that kind of stuff. Right now, the town owns it. They ought to be responsible for it. Obviously, they haven't done anything for years. We're going to be seeking CPC money in 2026, is it?
2020,
5 or 26?
25,
25.
yeah.
So, but that, if we can form that, maybe start raising some money to show that there is community support for it, that would be good. But I don't know how many people would want to get involved in that.
Right. All right, so I think our next step should be to talk with Mike and the Board of Selectmen, do you think, or?
I think you ought to talk with Mike, but just so you know, we're beginning the budget process. And
Right.
I don't see within the next month or two, until after the annual town meeting in June, that it'll be on the agenda. But I won't be the chairman, so perhaps the chairman will put you on one of the
Okay.
agendas. So
Okay. All right, probably we should continue this discussion maybe in July, because I think our next step really should be to talk to the town administrator, as to get some direction, some thoughts, from him. You can also email him and let him know, what's going on. All right.
Yeah.
But we'll put it off, this further discussion until July, but we can still work on our mission statement. I don't know, if you're talking to anyone out there, see if they want to be your friends, if they would be willing to be the core group to start, the Friends of the, Segregated School. I know there was a lot of interest in it when Rafa first put it out on Facebook. Now it's just a matter of getting people to step up. So,
And actually vote.
right.
And actually do the manpower.
All right, so we'll just keep continuing on that. Does anyone have anything else to add to that discussion? Okay. The rail trail, Sweets and Olds information, the listening session was on March 29th. I went to that. It was informative. It was interesting. I do have a tentative listing, which I sent to you, of the historic sites along the rail trail. 4 of them appear to be within the DCR, 2 miles of, what we're talking about. The Century Stove Company, which may be closer to the trailhead on Somerset Ave, I think it's right on the line, because even like the Dighton Depot isn't at that trailhead, it was like south of that, it appears.
Which one?
The Dighton Depot was south of the trailhead
On Main
behind,
Street?
yeah, behind 1712. Yeah,
Well, the passenger station was further up, further north.
near,
They were separated by 500 feet or so.
so the passenger station was behind Teascape and stuff.
Correct.
Okay. Which is just south of where the trailhead for the rail trail begins for this DCR project.
Okay.
The site of the first ferry landing, which is approximately behind Gardner's Tire, of course, Sweet and Old State Park, and then the Segregated Station, which is the big one, because that was on Center Street and the railroad tracks near Bristol Aggie. So, and there's pictures of that, because.
So I'm not that familiar with the route, of the one that's you're talking about.
This is the DCR one.
What are the endpoints?
The end point is the south entrance is on Somerset Ave behind 1712 and Alice's Restaurant. There's a parking lot there now. So then it goes over the bridge, the railroad bridge, across the Segregated River, heading north. You're coming this way now. There's, you can see it from the bridge that's on 138.
The Stone Arch Bridge, you're talking about?
There's stone. I don't know, it's just creepy looking to me because I would never walk across it.
Oh, there's 138, and you're going towards Somerset, and you passed Main Street and everything. You go.
No,
Oh, okay.
no. You're coming north from 1712, okay?
Okay.
Then there's the bridge there, the Van Geysen, it's now called the Van Geysen Bridge on 138. If you look out over the water, there's a railroad bridge there that doesn't have any railings, it's just an open railroad bridge with railroad ties.
Are you talking about the one in the, in that sweet, whatever park that you?
No, it's down.
There's a number of.
Yeah, no, this one's down where 1712 is. Somerset Ave meets County Street. There's a bridge there that goes
When you're on 138, right, County Street, is it
before,
on, and you're heading north, which side of is it on the left or the right of?
on the right, on the water side. It's near, it's before Gardner Tires. It's before where Lane Gardens was.
Yeah, it's only,
Oh, bridge, believe me.
you have a picture of it? There's a lot of bridges, see, from 138. There's at least two bridges. There's one after, just north of the old Princess House building.
Yeah,
You can't see it unless you go in there.
that's too far north, yeah.
And there's, the next one after that would be seen, well, the one that goes on, that's been, it's not a railroad bridge, it's actually a road bridge. It's where the old Center Street, Berkeley, Southwest Station used to be. Oh, the Segregated Station.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So I'm trying to think, this,
Bridge is right here. $17.12 is like right here. You go along, the bridge is here, and it goes here, and then this is where Gardner
is
Tires.
that Broad Cove?
No, Broad Cove is down off
Okay,
Pleasant Street.
I'm not sure what that.
I'm gonna have
Yeah, let
to,
me borrow that, so I can look at it, study it a little bit.
so anyway, that's, were the four things that I could see that belonged in this DCR trail. The other ones that I listed on there are for consideration for the Dayton Trails Committee project when they get going, because they're in their feasibility stage, so. And I also listed the town landings that I could find. Basically, that's what I think we should submit to DCR and to the Trails Committee.
I think you did a great job.
Thank you.
You did.
Thank you. So I would entertain a motion to submit this historic sites list to Gene Alter, he's the project manager of DCR, and Jeff Carvalho from the Dayton Trails Committee.
I so moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay, let's vote. Rafa?
Aye.
Pam?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Pat? And I'm also an aye. Okay, thank you. So we went to visit at Bristol Aggie, Rafa, Bill, and I, and Ken. What a beautiful building,
Was, is.
beautiful building. We met Adele Sands, and, oh dear, Lori, Kathy, I can't remember her name.
Kathy, the librarian,
Yeah, Kathy.
could be Kathy, yeah.
She was the librarian, and our memorial for Nate Crane will go in the Commons Room. They have some beautiful murals on the walls already. One's a map of Bristol County and all the towns that attend there. Another was just the names of the towns, I think.
You put it on Facebook,
What?
the colorful mural, wasn't that what you
Yes.
put on?
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was stunning, was,
So our mural would for Nat Crane, they visualize a mural like on this open wall, and it's in this Commons lunchroom. This is like a meeting place. The kids all have lunch there. We left that room just as they were coming in for lunch. But it would be, and they also use it for like when they have their dinners and their community events and stuff, so it would be well seen. What they're thinking is that we send them the information, pictures of our artifacts, the house. We also thought we should send a little short history or bio of Nat Crane, so they know the connection to Dayton. And then the architects will design something from there and put it up on the wall. So they probably wouldn't be using the actual artifacts. Maybe they will, I don't know. So that's where that is. It's kind of like in their hands. And Rafa, you did send them the pictures.
April 4th. Still waiting for a response.
Okay. And do we need a short bio for him to go? Or did you?
Didn't ask. We can.
Yeah, I think,
Sure.
yeah, I think that would be, ties him into Dayton.
how large is the area?
I mean, the display, it's like a wall, right?
Right, yeah,
It's probably slightly larger than that.
You
from
had better
that to-
luck
to the
than we
window.
did.
yeah.
I noticed the person we met with,
Yeah,
Kathy, the librarian.
what was her name?
Robin,
Robin,
but she
what happened to
left,
her?
she was transferred to a different school, right?
right,
Ah,
yeah.
Oh, okay.
So,
That's funny because she went there as a kid.
Yeah,
Remember? Yeah, so I'm just surprised she was transferred to school.
but the,
She wanted us to have the stairwell. So,
yeah, well, you
Yeah.
had much,
Well, you did well, good for
you
you.
did very well, because, right, we were gonna
Didn't
be,
do that well.
no, we did.
so, now,
Nice job.
well, now we have to see what the result is.
Well, a whole lot. Very impressed, and, yeah, they don't,
But they had that all,
artifact, like you said, that's what the architect,
yeah,
the design, the web developer, whatever is gonna, just put on the wall.
Just a thought.
would love that, but
I
it has to be encased in some.
I would like to see that on display somewhere. I think that's a great idea.
To throw
I can't hear you.
Oh,
Because talking about,
I can't hear.
Clearly not that, because
we're having trouble here with the microphones.
Say something.
Keeps breaking up.
We keep breaking up?
we're all talking at once.
No,
Okay, they were talking about the bridge key.
yep.
So we'll think on that. Moving along, preservation planning, our survey and planning grant status, phase 3 will be finished on May 6th. I can't believe how close that is. And Stacy's work is on schedule. So our historical house marker program, you know what? I made hard copies of this Rehoboth stuff for you. I'm going to pass that out before. Sorry, I forgot. I made copies, hard copies of the historical markers application. I don't know if anyone wants to take some. I kind of like carrying around when I see someone I know has an old house, I give it to them. I do have hard copies if anyone wants to take one. So now we're going to talk about the historical markers for the houses in the Mill Village. And we have Dan Higgins and Vicky Piazza are here to talk about the research they've been doing on Vicky's house. So I'm going to invite them to come and join us for this conversation because they've done some work on it. So you can come sit with us. We don't bite. Maybe. Can you hear him, Ken?
I couldn't hear any of that. I just heard you just now.
Just, I'm the most important, I guess.
I can move over to maybe.
Yeah, maybe where Rafa was. I can only find two of these little disc mice things tonight. Now I see the third one, it's way over there.
So in terms of the information for Vicky's house, the first set was just tracing it back from Vicky through the previous owners until it was actually purchased from the mill in 1949 by Charles and Frida Schwartz. And that also helped because the numbering of the house had changed over time. The house at that time was 49 Summer Street, so that helped establish that. Prior to that, it was just under the ownership of the mill and it had renters, so it was a little difficult to follow anything through deeds at that point because it was just mill ownership. But I was able to find the names of the renters through the Dighton directories of 1948, and confirm the actual address through an army registration from one of the residents who was at 49 Summer Street for Charles Schwartz. And then also going back through the censuses, through 1940 had the street number as well as the street. 1930 just had a street name. And then 1927, 28, town directory, 1921 town directory, and 1920 census. So the house was definitely lived in back as far as 1920. Going back to 1910, I could find no residents on Summer Street. There is a plot that was laid out in 1907 for what was proposed to be built. But obviously, nobody was living there, apparently, as of 1910. So the range of the house is somewhere between 1910 and 1920 as far as its construction and first residence. The only thing I could find that was interesting was a 1912 report of the annual report of the town officers, which mentioned putting in water and to lay pipes for furnishing water to citizens on Lincoln Avenue and Summer Streets. So I would assume from that that there were residents on Summer Streets as early as 1912. That doesn't specifically spell out Vicky's property, but it would sound from that that people were living there. So I would say the range of the construction was probably 1910 to 1920, but possibly as early as 1912.
Was there closer to the mill as opposed to the ones that are far away, like on built in 1922, but there's a lot of houses that were built earlier than that as you move towards the mill building.
Right, and Vicky's is one of those. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because usually you see in the deed, if The mill left in 1951 to move down to North Carolina. Milliken immediately put up all the houses and the mill itself. Dayton Real Estate Company in 1951. So my house was purchased. One of the mill guys who was their top engineer lived in my house, and he was given my house early, even though he moved down to North Carolina. It's rather odd. So he only owned the house for a year, and then he sold it to some people, and then it ended up down. But what are you trying to discover? The date or the year of that it was built?
The year it was built, I know it's I would say it's a
It
range.
can't be any newer than 1922.
Yes, it is. It says,
It is.
yeah.
So
I'm saying it's in the 1920 census with residents living there documented
Well,
in.
what year do you suppose it was built then?
Somewhere between 1910, in the 1910 census, there was nobody living on Summer Street. So it was between 1910 and 1920. And with that note in the annual report of the town officers of 1912, talking about laying pipes for water for citizens on Summer Street, I would say that people were living on Summer Street. It doesn't specifically say Vicky's house, but people were living on Summer Street as early as 1912. So hers is in a 10-year range, but maybe even closer.
Earlier than, because he hired a famous architect, landscape architect, who then, the same art, I'm trying to remember his name. Oh, yeah, right. And the Fens in Boston and so forth. So that all happened in about 1920 to 1922 when that company got the contract. So the hoses that they designed, some houses on Chase Street that are earlier, like 1912, for instance, roughly.
Yeah.
So going down the ways, if you don't, I didn't see any reference to Dayton Realty in this, so I'm assuming it was sold to its first owner.
Yeah, prior to 1951, in 1948 or 49, it was sold, yeah, 49.
So this is the dilemma that's going to happen with all of those mill homes in North Dayton that were part of Milliken and Mount Hope.
Unless there's mill records, do those exist?
Yeah, where are those?
Yeah, well,
North Carolina?
took them with him.
Willow's basement, that's where they were.
Oh, yeah.
Well, having that about the water going on Summer Street, I mean, that's a nice clue. You know, Rome wasn't built in a day, and Milliken's Little Empire wasn't built in a day. And maybe that section preceded your section, which I'm guessing is the 20s.
Well, don't forget that there was a mill there, an old mill,
Right.
before Wilkins, and I just got finished reading for the third time the book about, I don't know, it's Time Library, is it called?
Something that one?
Yes.
Fierce Personal Pride, yeah, Burke Davis.
We have it. We have it.
So it mentions they were just, he and his, Mr. Milliken and his uncle, who, right, they get off the North Dayton station, in fact, and they walked up South Railroad Avenue, whatever. The old mill, it was a 3-story wooden mill that was unused. They decided to use it, right? They were going to tear it down. I forgot which, I think the uncle said they should just tear it down, get rid of it. They used it for a few years before they built the big brick place and so forth. So that would have been, I think the date that they came to visit was around 1912. So that.
No, it was earlier. It was earlier.
Was it earlier?
Yeah.
Not much earlier.
I want to say 1901.
It might have been 1910, but it wasn't a lot early, I don't
I
think.
don't think,
Well, I did include in one of these a plot layout that was done in January of 1907 by Milliken of what he proposed to do.
Find that.
In a,
Basement, were you down Coelho's basement? No?
no, it's online. It's in the record, it's deeds, it's a plan. that he filed back in 1907. It includes, Vicky's area. Now, this was what he was proposing to do, so time frame between 1907 when he proposed it and whenever it got built.
Oh, it was after
Right,
1907? Yeah, that's right.
By the way.
1907?
Yeah, it is, it's in
I
the,
think
you can look it up on the.
these houses were there before they bought the property. They didn't build these houses, I don't think, in 1907. I mean,
But by
go back to
1910,
Look and see, I think they did their visit
okay,
before, around 1907. I don't see them building these houses.
I would only say that in 1910, there was no Summer Street existing with residents in the census.
Okay.
It might have had a different name, I don't know, but there was no such thing as Summer Street.
Did have a different name because Spring Street was known as Main Street. Lincoln Avenue was known as Water Street. So they did have different names.
But it does even say plan of lots.
Yes, it
It
does.
doesn't say foundations or houses. This is a great job, by the way. I just want to say.
Okay, thank you.
It gives you a point of reference, gives you a great point of reference,
Yeah,
yeah. Because this is going to be the dilemma as we go forward is where they built, who built them.
Well, if you look at old maps, like in the area in the 1800s, late 1800s, you will find School Street and you will find a few other streets, but I don't, and I'm talking off the top of my head, so I don't have any, but in any case, I don't know.
So you actually established the house age circa 1910 to 1920.
I would say so, yes.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's great,
And it makes it 100 years old.
right,
Boom. End
Right.
of discussion.
yeah.
But it's, isn't it?
Give her a marker.
Put on the plaque.
So then,
There would be.
yeah, but then,
Mount Hope Finishing.
yeah,
Yeah.
it would have to be the Mount Hope Finishing
And you have
Company
to
Or Dighton Factories, like Woody's house, it says Dighton Factories on the.
on his deed. So either, yeah, so whatever it says on the deed is what would go on the plaque.
Isn't that what you wanted, Vicky? The name, Mount Finishing?
Yeah, Mount Hope Finishing Company is what, yeah.
That's what reads, when you do your deed tracing, that's what comes up. Okay, so some will say Dighton Factory, some will say,
Depending on what year and who was
Yeah.
in charge of the land. Yeah, they'll be different, that's fine. Can I tell you, Murray, that it has to do with this, it really does, which is why it puts a date on it, Bill. So this woman who came to the Historical Society today, her great-grandfather he came in October of 19, he worked at Mount Hope Finishing Company, very boiling water to clean the cloth, and died in December of 19. So that's why we,
Mount Hope.
at Mount Hope Finishing Company.
Okay, just be, I'm not, nothing to do with this house here, but if this is just a point you're making and I'm responding to about this accident this guy had.
can we, Pat, finish your story, please.
Yeah, I'd like to finish the
Finish your story, Pat.
So this woman came to the historical. Okay. She was able to trace, he's buried on Riverside Avenue in the. His obituary, he was burnt and then like a week later he died. So his cause of death on his death certificate, which he got, is something to do with his heart. Well, yeah, if you had third-degree burns over half of you, maybe and medicine was what it was in 1911, I mean. So she's researching her great-grandfather, and it has to do with Mount Hope. And for him to come from England, on the ship's manifest, it says final. North Dayton. So I mean, he
Wow.
came here, so he couldn't have been just a. Because why would he be, And so we have the ship that he came on and his children and whatever, and he was here such a short time. And her parents were. And they said, how did great-grandpa die? She said, he drowned in a bowl of soup at the table. You know how people did church and found his obituary and found, his grave and whatever else. It was an industrial accident back in 1911, of boiling whatever chemicals are in there. These people paved the way for safety later on for everybody else. But I mean, how awful. Okay, quicker story. The other great-grandfather, he got hit in the head by put it right, and it came down on him and it killed him. So one great-grandfather was burnt and had a subsequent heart attack, and the other great, I'm laughing, but I'm not laughing. These are my people, this is what happened to them, so.
Curse. Don't emigrate to Dayton.
And that's why they established an area.
Right,
back.
yeah. Okay. Well,
That's my connection for today.
No, it's.
Very nice lady, very nice lady.
Cool. So she was at the society.
Yes.
yeah. So I find this fascinating.
Oh, definitely.
Look,
Yeah. Gruesome story.
yes.
So you are going to fill out an application, correct, Vicki?
Yes,
Okay.
we just want to get a consensus on what we're supposed to do if we live in that neighborhood.
Yeah, I think the cleanest thing is going to be by what's found on the deed when Mount Hope sold it, because that'll tell you either Dayton Factories or Mount Hope Finishing Company, and that's what we put on it. And then like in a year, some may know a definite year of being built, others maybe like yours, here is around a year, so,
You're doing the best you can.
right.
Yep.
Right. And we all know that that area is over 100 years old, so.
You may have more problems on some of the other houses actually built.
Right,
Yep.
right, so,
You know, what's interesting about this house is that it mentions some Hurwitz in here as
yeah, I saw that, yeah.
one of the owners at one time, and I remember Elaine Hurwitz was a schoolmate of mine.
Oh, you must be ancient then.
She actually came to visit,
Hurwitz?
yeah,
No kidding.
when she grew up, she was littler, like grade school.
There was a story that my mother used to talk about because regarding your house, the Hurwitzes, when the Hurwitzes were living there. Probably happened around in the late 50s or something, anyway. Hurwitz was kind of a big guy, a lot of weight. And he had some long underwear that was hanging outside on the line, and Halloween, somebody took his underwear and it ended up over a wire. That was a big funny story. Those are the funny stories that happened in Dayton,
Vandalism back then.
Oh, dear, so, all right, I think we're good. Awesome, thank you so much for sharing. Yes, yeah. If we need more research, we'll call.
Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you for sharing.
When is it?
All right, moving along. Next is the grant applications. I met with the CPC on March 17th. They finalized their vote of support for our application on the 17th for the community-wide historic property survey update. It'll be on the warrant for town meeting, and the article for the warrant is written. So that's that. New business, our Firecracker Festival is July 9th. I received the intake form for the groups to attend today. It's at 1 PM. So do we want to participate?
You bet.
Okay, then I will entertain a motion to submit to the Parks and Rec their intake form for the Firecracker Festival.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay, Rafa, let's vote. Rafa?
Aye.
Pam?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Pat?
Aye.
And I am also an aye, so I will fill that out and submit it. Now, we have plenty of pens left from last year. We do not need to order those. We have 12 of the I Love Dayton bracelets left. Last year, the wristbands, we spent $188 on the wristbands last year. So we do need something to hand out. Any ideas?
I don't have to hand anything out. The idea, I don't remember who raised it at the last one, of being able to take one of the old desks, get it de-leaded, whatever that method is, and having it on display from segregation.
Oh, we had talked about
Yeah,
that.
I think that really,
Oh.
maybe we could have.
It's too heavy.
Okay, wooden desks aren't painted, so they don't need to be deep.
Right, no, there's
Okay.
just over there.
But I thought maybe
Polished it,
because Ken
lemon.
had said there was particles.
We just have to clean them
Blow it
up.
off.
Wash it off.
Okay, and I'd love to have a piece of calligraphy. I know they probably had stone tablets, you know what I mean, the slate.
Slates.
But to have old, they'd kind of pretend that they're using an inkwell, just a thought. Maybe we could get, I know this is kind of hokey, but a coloring book.
There is one.
Oh,
Myrna developed a coloring book for children around Dayton.
is it it's kind of simple?
Very.
I mean, maybe 10 pages, am I?
Very.
Good.
There are some slates at the school.
Yeah, there are slates.
Wooden frame slates, and you just write them on the chalk.
That would be fun, I think. So the kid could come over and try it with the chalk and the slate. Then they get the little 10-page coloring, 5-page coloring book. And I've seen a pack of crayons you can give out, and we wouldn't need to, we would just order some nice stickers. And then we'd take an afternoon to put the stickers on the, 200 mini boxes of crayons with our logo. And I liked the desk idea, so then I started
All right.
thinking about how we can kind of expand on that and then really, involve the kids.
All right, so to recap, Ken, did you hear all of Pam? Okay. We can check with Myrna on the coloring books. I know she had a pile of copies at one point. I don't know.
She brought them to the library, so if you
Yeah.
have to check with the library, maybe they know where they are.
I'll
The
email,
vault?
no,
No.
No.
I will email Myrna and find out.
Okay.
We could get those reprinted if we needed to. Pam, do you,
Price out crayon
yeah,
boxes. Usually it's only the primary colors. And then I will price out our printing labels. At that point, it's probably easier just to print labels than like print them ourselves.
right, right,
And cheaper,
right,
actually.
right.
And our friend in Westport there, Paul, that Pat and I visited in the past, does do the crayons and the labels.
Okay. And you'll bring that back.
I'm gonna try to have that done by next month. Yeah, well.
Yeah, it'll have to-
It's already, yeah.
Yeah, because, so we can order them and have them paid for before the end of the fiscal year.
Okay, maybe what we should do is figure out how many books we have, so then we can have a coordinating amount of crayons.
Okay. Oh, my battery's running low.
Uh-oh. It's a bad sign. Like, maybe it's time.
All right, we'll just quickly finish up. We're on correspondence. I got an email from Leanne regarding the Civics Plus website. I believe everyone got that from Leanne in the Selectman's office. The website provider is changing, so we need to review our page content and make sure it's accurate. And then we'll be able to add more stuff. This change should take place in September. Take a look at it.
6 months.
Any changes or all that, let Rafa and I know, and, okay? There's no public input. Still have one position open on the commission. The next meeting date is May 10th at 7 PM. Yes, Rafa?
Discuss the possibility of having our meeting an hour earlier.
Anyone interested in moving the meeting an hour earlier
So be a 6.
to
I'm
6?
fine with that.
Oh, died.
No, it's still there.
Oh, we're still there?
He doesn't know
Okay,
we died.
all right, we're still on that, so, do you want to try 6 o'clock in May?
Do you want an earlier meeting, like an hour earlier, instead of 7?
Starting at 6 every month. Idea.
Yeah,
Okay.
Okay, so the next one will be at 6 PM. Is there anything else? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, all in favor, Rafa?
Aye.
Pam?
Aye.
Bill? Pat? And I'm an aye. All right, great.
8:16.
Thank you.
Good night.
Aye.
Thank you. Any reason why? Got a big thing going on that night?
No, because it's better.
Oh, I'm